Hey everybody, we're here today with Henry from CANchecked. CANchecked
Hi,
is
what's
a
up?
hey, how's it going?
Sorry, don't want to interrupt you.
Okay, well, no worries. CANchecked is a German company. They manufacture gauges, which we'll go into today. They're more than fancy boost gauge, and since Henry since Henry is there with us today, well, I'll let you start it off. Talk to us a bit more about CANchecked, and how did it come up as a company? What do you guys do exactly? More precisely, should I say?
Okay, so so I'm Hendrik, the founder of Can of the original idea. I got the business partnership with Stefan, and we run CANcheck together. So I started roughly about 9 years ago when there was no gauge for the ECU I was running in my rally golf. So I started fiddling around, and somehow this yeah brought up the idea, and then some friends came to me and said, cool thing. How about this ECU and that ECU, and then how about bigger screens? And then I started with a small one, which was the MFT15, and then they it got bigger with the 2.8 and 3.2 inch, which we also use today. And roughly 5 years ago, 7 years, I think 5 years ago, I met Stefan, and he bought a gauge from mine and said, "Nah, your housings are not that as they should be, and so let's start something together." And the whole product was reinvented by both of us, and we started this as a side job, and then somehow it got more and more. We got dealers, we got more and more customers, we need support, we need to scale. So, and that's how CANchecked was born. And right now we are 8 people, so Stefan and me and six employees who work for us. So really cool feeling to run your own company and to grow into the international market, which we really got last year into. So last year we joined the SEMA with our distributor in the US, and it was really really great to see our own products being showcased at the SEMA, talk to customers. It was really one highlight for me for CANchecked.
SEMA, guys, if you don't know, is one of the biggest sort of aftermarket trade show. It's usually B2B, like business to business trade shows in the world. It's usually held in Las Vegas, and that's where you see if you own a business that sells aftermarket parts or any type of tuning. And if you're into the industry, basically you sort of attend SEMA to check out the new products. And on a personal level, that's not where I got to know CANchecked. As you know, I'm a very technical person, so I was just doing research online, and I love talking in German, so I connected with CANchecked, and then that's pretty much how we started it off. I wanted a solution which was different than other options that are available on the market, and today, like that's the whole point. It was maybe or maybe it was neglect from my part, but making videos about how it works and everything, I think it's going to be better to just deep dive deep down into what the gauges can do, because I think like we discussed, like I already discussed on the past with Hendry, you've got a portion of the community that's very technical, and they like sort of like having open source software and playing with it, and you've got another bigger segment of the community. They want to buy it, they want to plug it, and they want it to work like easy peasy Apple style right off the bat. So we can get it to that. Henry, I will add your screen now. So whoops, there you go. We are right now on the display setup software. The
Yeah.
gauges on the car can be connected, and then this is what you have, and I'll let you take over.
Yeah. So let me just get back to one point. So we tried to cover both groups of people: the guys who want to plug and play the gauge into their car and works straight away, and for the others who want to fiddle with the stuff. They want to rearrange widgets. They want to make the gauge to fit their car, to fit their needs.
Mhm.
So we want to cover both segments, So it's kind of the middle way. So that's why it's sometimes difficult for one part to understand the other one. So
For sure.
so for the guys who just want to buy the gauge and that it works, sometimes they need to work with the stuff we provide for the other group, and and also the other way around for the guys who want to really deep dive. We have some restrictions where we say, because we wanted to make it easier for the other group. So that's why we need to find a middle path, and that's why we need some understanding from our customers that we want to make it fit both groups, but it's not how it's always working.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard for sure to like find the middle ground between both
Exactly.
both segments or both extremes of the hobbyist community.
Exactly. And can we jump to the screen where we just showcase the two displays so that all the people know what we're talking about? Yeah. So we prepared a little bit camera over here. So we got two main products from ours. So one is the bigger one, the balloons again. Where are they coming from?
I don't know where they're coming from.
So one is the bigger one. It's the touch display. And the other small one is our standard 52 millimeter gauge, which fits every 52 millimeter slot. So, and here we have two front buttons where you switch the pages, or you go to the game, that little Easter egg. So you switch the pages with the front buttons, and this is OLED. We have the shift light LED. It's acrylic black glass. We have canvas connections, and the main thing with our gauges, we have analog inputs where we can pick up additional sensors, analog sensors like fuel pressure, boost pressure, oil temperature. So if your car does not have oil pressure, like all the Mark 6s, Golf Mark 6s out there, the Audi B8s, they don't have oil pressure, so you can attach additional oil pressure sensor.
Ethanol content sensor.
Ethanol content, exactly. You can. We have a digital input where you can attach ethanol content sensor. It's not a big thing in Europe. That's why I tend to forget it. But for the rest of the world,
in the US, they have it available at the pump. A lot of states. So the guys, they love E40s. E40.
Exactly. So you do not need a converter. You can attach the ethanol content sensor right to the gauge. So no additional costs, just the sensor. You need to put the sensor into your car. Of course, that's some stuff you need to do, but no additional converters like other displays. On the bigger display, we have 4 analog inputs, and on the smaller one, we have 6 analog inputs because people used to use these small ones even without canvas. So you can attach your 6 sensors to the gauge and run it standalone even without canvas. So we can have different pages.
We have a question for you, Hendrik. Ada Gia, sorry if I'm massacring your name, is asking, how's the installation process on a B8S4? Are there any modifications need to be? Well, Ada, I already know. I don't want to talk for Hendrik, but we were going to cover, and I know for a fact that on a B8S4, it is a bolt-on application. I'm talking about the square one, the round one. Basically, guys, when Henry was mentioning that it's a universal gauge, all you have to do is purchase one of those gauge pods, and you can mount it wherever you want on your dash. Maybe later I could show you a picture how I mounted it on my personal B8.5 S4, but it's entirely up to you. Whereas this one has a more bolt-on application where it's like OEM look in the middle vent there, right?
Yeah. So our so I can jump to that point. So for the installation, we have when you buy a display for a car, so a special application for the B8, for example, we highlight for all cars starting from year 2008, we have canvas connection on the OBD port, and for that cars we offer a plug-and-play solution. So either we got the OBD cable, that's for the Audis and VWs. For the BMWs, we have a specialized cable which goes into a junction box where we tap right into the canvas.
Okay.
That's one thing. And so that's the cabling. So you just, for the B8, you just plug in your OBD port, which comes with the display, into your OBD plug into the OBD port. You route the cable to the gauge, to the middle vent, the only hole you need to drill is always that you need to get the cable into the vent duct.
Yep.
So you drill a hole there.
Yep. And I'd just like to mention, because I went through the process, we're talking about the interior part of the vent. So even if you remove it, let's say you resell the car, it doesn't really matter because it's not on the exterior, right? So
exactly. So you need to get the cable into the vent, and then it's the only hole you need to drill, and then you replace the fins of the vent with our gauge, and it fits right into the place. And we try to make it plug in as OEM as possible. So our design process looks like this. We get the vent, either we get it from a car or we just get it from an online marketplace. And then we 3D scan them. And then we do the reverse engineering, and we see how could our display fit into the vent. So we have two different applications, even for the big ones. We have a 3.2 inch, which you can see right here, and one which is a little bit smaller, a 2.8 inch. And then we check which one fits the application. If the bigger one fits, we take the bigger one, 3.2 inch, 3.2 inch. Or if it does not, we take the smaller one, the 2.8 inch. And most of the time, the air vent is still working. So we have an intelligent design of our vents where the airflow goes around the display and still goes into the cabin. This is important for very cold climates, as sometimes there's Canada.
Like mine, they're minus 25 Celsius right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Or even when it's plus 45 degrees Celsius, like in Texas, or we have a lot of customers in the Arabic, in African countries. So there it also needs to function. So because they need their vents. Mm-hmm. So that's in most of the cases we try to design it. Sometimes it does not work out, but in most of the cases it works just like that. And one special thing is for the Golf Mark 5 and Mark 6, we see that the protocol was really slow on the first ones we got. So that's why we moved away from the OBD port application and we tap right into the gateway.
Nice.
So we go directly into the campus. Could be something for the early B8s as well, which do not talk the UDS protocol. Yeah. So we get faster data because the data protocol on those ones, it's for the technical minded, it's TP 2.0, KDP 2000. And for this protocol, you need a little bit handshaking with the ECU. So you go to the ECU with the canvas, you get to the ECU and say, hi, I want to query data. The ECU talks to you and say, okay, that's fine. Which ID do you want to use? And you talk forth and back, and then you query the data. And this is a lengthy process, and this is a little bit slower than you want the gauge to be. So the refresh rate is not really high. So that's why we moved into the other direction for these ones. A lot of people still ask, okay, is the data fast enough? And I think you can say from a live
surprisingly, well, I say surprisingly in a good way, especially when it came to the like, I guess we were going to get into the features of the gauges, but even the data logging, at first I added like 1 million parameters. I think I had up to like 70 triggers or some crazy number, like 64. And even there, like, it was still a lot better than a lot of the data loggers that some tuners offer on the market. So just the fact that I was able to get a very decent reading, like enough to like assess something professionally, I was quite happy with. But beyond the data logging, the gauges have an option that no other on the market has, whether it's gauges or mobile applications or stuff like that. It's because, like, especially like on it doesn't matter on a B8 or B9 there, when you're pushing the setup and you have like custom implementations like I did on mine. For example, like I can see on one of my screens, like on the big one, like this, my 6 cylinders. And then I triggered, like I set a custom function that if knock is down to more than -4, it flashes red. So it's impossible to miss. I can lift off throttle. Obviously, it's not a bulletproof solution, but it's better than anything else that exists out there, because you can log or you can do whatever you want. But if you knock the -9 and you start getting like you start leaning out, and it's too late there, and there's no way that you have time to look at your gauge during like a quarter-mile pull when you're doing like 10 or 9 seconds. Yeah, so
yeah. So and that's what we wanted to bring to the customers. We wanted to bring a little we want to bring a monitoring device, because I come from the IT department, and I did storage area networks back in the days, and there we had really granular monitoring on a per port basis, and that's what I brought into the CAN bus and into the gauges. So you really have your warnings on the sensors, and you can have warnings on the widgets. We can show that later. But one thing I also want to mention, what you covered, we get really in-depth data of the car. So there's an OBD2 protocol, there's an OBD port, okay, and we have the OBD. And we have the OBD2 protocol. And with the OBD protocol, we have some standard IDs where the vendor decides what he wants to present to the customer. So the in the German, you have the MOD, the TÜV, where you need to go every 2 years, and they just plug in their diagnose device into your OBD port. They check your AFR values, your lambda values. If they're okay, then you're good. And this is done via OBD2.
Okay.
And the OBD2 standard does not allow, or it allows, but the vendors do not put data like ignition retards. Sometimes they do not even put oil temperature and boost pressure on that protocol. So if they've got an OBD2 gauge and the gauge just talks OBD2 and nothing else, the only way to get your boost data is with an analog sensor. But we don't need that, because we have reverse engineered the protocols of the Volkswagen Audis. We have got BMW, we have Toyota, we have Opel Vauxhall, we have got Ford, and so we really reverse. We get the cars, we check what the diagnose software of the vendor is doing, and then we replicate this protocol. And that's why we get in-depth data. And we did even more. We did performance optimization. So that's why you really get fast data as you do. Plus, we can not only query the ECU, we can also query the TCU. We can query your dashboard. If you got a Haldex, you can query the Haldex log data, and we can query all these devices at once. So not at once, but in a serial way. We can combine all this data in this little device. Plus, you get your data logs when you have a track day. Then you can log your data, and you can check afterwards. You pull your laptop out, connect your laptop to the gauge, get the log, and then get your readings.
I know the big one is a touchscreen, so that's nice. You plug it, but the small one, at least the one that's the one I have in my personal B8.5, that one is also updatable. It's not an app based, but you just connect to the gauge via your phone. You just load like a Wi-Fi browser.
You see these little buttons over here. It's right now it's connected to the CAN bus. That's the left symbol, and the right symbol is the Wi-Fi, and it opens up a Wi-Fi hotspot. So you connect with your phone to the gauge, and with an additional license, because we say, okay, if you really want logging, no one else has logging in this form factor. So it's a little license. Is it 29? It's 29 euros, but yeah, also roughly $29. And then you can unlock the logging feature of the device, and then you can have log on your phone. So with your phone, you activate the logging. You put your phone away. You leave. Then you get the log on your phone, and then you can share the log with the tuner. You can upload it to your Google Drive, and then later you can double check the log on your desktop after the session.
Cool. That's a very nice feature. Do you want to, Henry, show them more on maybe the big one, like with your that's touchscreen?
So
maybe go through the screens.
So we have 10 screens on the device. This is the screen you talked about with the cylinder ignition retards. So what we can do, it's a little bit tough to see it on the video and then make the adjustments. So we have a little demo mode. So we can just at least see some color. So that's what you would see in the car. It's not real data. So
it's a demo mode.
It just goes between the minimum and the maximum value. So but if you want to turn on the logging, you swipe up and then you have the log button. It's a little bit, because of the light, it's a little bit tricky over here. So you turn on your logging, you see, and then this is log 2. You stop your logging, and then it's log 3. So it's just counting up to 255, and then it starts again. So you need to get this file from your gauge, and then you're good to go to have it, to check it later on your desktop.
Yeah, you can log. That's what I do. I log at any time when whether it's for a health check or whatever purpose I have to log the thing.
Yeah. So there are some standard pages which we offer, and with our software, you can customize.
Yeah,
This
that's what I
is
like.
not
I
a
can
standard
custom
one.
my pages.
So you see the latest Audi RPM style bar, and then just start here. You saw the warning when they go beyond a certain point. So you can have different kind of warnings. So when EGT crosses the upper mark, then the widget turns red, like this. And
yeah,
this is
that's
what
I
you
was
can see.
mentioning earlier. See, but you can make it. See, that's the thing. That's your. I guess it's a standard one that you offer. But guys, you can even customize it to the point where the whole screen flashes, so you can't miss it. Let's say you set a warning that you don't want the car to go over, like, I don't know, 800 EGTs, for example. It's going to flash, so you can lift off throttle or stop whatever you're doing there. Don't continue like most do.
Yeah, exactly. So you set the boundaries on your own, and you can make the gauge react to the application you have. So not all of the people are running one bar of boost or 14 psi. So people running 20, 30. So you can really customize everything to your needs, to your application.
I've got a question here from Anthony Vona. Can be answered, whatever. How does CANchecked interact with a water-meth setup? And
so depends what you mean with interaction. So we have inputs, and with the inputs we can monitor the pressure maybe, and we can monitor everything which the water-methanol puts out on the on a device base, on a sensor based, or on a switch based. So you can also wire in the switches to the display. But we also have on the gauge.
That was his next question. Is just a monitor, because it can function as a control. I know the answer, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So can you switch back to the other monitor with the DSS?
Yep.
So right here, this is our DSS. So you connect. Here we are. So you connect to the display. We have got our, just let me walk through before we get to this water-methanol part. We have got our TRI editor where we get all the sensors. We have got our pages where you actually change everything. We have the log view where you import from the display your logs, and you can export them and you can view them. And we have got the other settings, and what we got here is we got the output control. So it's not only a boost setting, it's also a PWM setting. So water-methanol is run by a pulse width modulation. So it's a on and off signal. So what we do is, see what we got here. We prepared something. So you cannot run the water-methanol pump as most of the people do it wrongly.
No,
falsely.
You're right. 100%. Most of the setups.
So most of the people run the pump or control the pump, which is not the correct way. So what we would do is that you got a valve, and you connect the valves directly to the display. You need a license. You connect the valves directly to the display. You use the output frequency you set up here, like in Hertz. You have a PWM output, and we assign a user table. We go to the user tables, and here's the cool thing. You can see how flexible the gauge is. we have our user table. We adjust the size of the user table. What do we want to do? We want to have RPM and I don't know, boost.
Yep. So you
Then
can
we
have
go from
you can have multiple set of rules. For example, you want it to spray during a certain boost level, and also you can set it by RPM altogether, in the sense that if you don't want it to spray above 7,200, even if you're in boost, you can set a secondary set of rules which cuts your injection, right?
exactly. So do you guys in Canada, do you talk PSI or bar?
We're PSI, yeah, and in the States too, they like
Okay.
their
So
PSI.
let's take PSI. So you can also take bar. So like this, and then what you have is your maximum frequency is 100.
Mhm.
Okay. So now you set up your on RPM 1,400, or you can change whatever it needs to be, and with 15 PSI, how much water do you want to put into the engine? Okay, so 100% is fully open, 0% is closed. So that's how you can set it up from the display. And the great thing is you don't need to tap any sensors, anything. You have everything from the canvas. And that's a
Henry,
big advantage.
I'm sure I know the crowd. I'm sure some folks find it interesting, but what you just showed them right now was sort of like Chinese. So if ever someone is interested in purchasing a gauge for whatever it offers, plus especially this specific segment, do you guys have customer service that provides help or to the folks? Because
yes, of course. So first of all, your first point of contact is your reseller from ours. So wherever you buy your gauge, get support through them. So they are also trained. They know our products. They not only sell the products, they know the products. And if they cannot answer your question, they forward your request to ours. And we have a guy, Ferdinand. He's doing 100% support for our customers. So he's always there. If you got stuck, we help you find the portion in our manual. So we have really a big manual for our gauges. And if it's not covered there, or if you need a remote session, we will also hook you up. So we will not leave you alone. We know it can be complex. The more you dive into, as UJM may also recall from one of our first sessions. So it can be complex. We did it pretty good documentation, but if you got stuck, reach out to us.
As Anthony just mentioned, very in depth, and gives great user control. Yeah, that's the point. And I just like to mention, from a North American's point of view, it is a German company. So if you're worried about documentation, they like to document everything they have times 20. So
right now we do.
Should be fine.
So and to top that, we have correction functions. So these are, so you can have on top of that, you can have your correction function like user table 2. And if you say your, like, what about if my EGT is above, like 0 to 800, 900, just look, you can really define that. So if your boost, if your EGT goes beyond that point, and you can read it here, it changes the base output on a percentile basis. So output PWM. So we have the correction. So you can lower. So this is 100, 100, 100, 100. And if you go beyond 800 and you don't want to reach 800, or you want to put in the safety, you go like 120. So this will add some portion of water to your original table.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're like
a second set of rules,
you need to leave some space. So I would not go to 100, maybe only go up to 80. You need some space, some safety space. So if you go only from 0 to 80, like this. Okay, and here over here, RPM more than 7,000, you get your 30 psi boost, and your EGT goes beyond 800. We add some more water over here as a safety function.
It's something that you sort of find on traditional water meth controllers, but it's nowhere near as precise as this. You can't fine tune, you can't tailor, and it's popular, especially when you're talking about EGTs. It's and I assume it's a very popular application here in North America for diesel trucks. The guys that they have the Cummins and everything. They go with the big turbos. These EGTs just skyrocket like no tomorrow. So meth is not a it's not a luxury, it's necessary. And usually they buy the controllers, which they just monitor by GT, so they tend to quench, or it kind of functions very poorly.
Gotcha. Yeah. And another thing would be intake temperature. So you can add even more stuff. So if the intake temperature is above a certain value, you just add more and more. You just need to have some safety in your base table, and then you can go above that. Yeah, and you can also hook up the because then it's really crucial if you use this. You can have your safety functions, like you need to attach your tank, your fuel sensor, your fuel level sensor to the gauge. You can attach your fuel your water-methanol tank.
The level for the tank. Yeah, okay, exactly. Yeah,
you add that to one of the analog inputs. You add maybe the pressure, the water-methanol pressure to the gauge. It's just a simple fuel pressure sensor. You can also attach to the gauge, so you can implement your own safety functions, and based on that, you can have your warnings.
Oh, that's great. You have it here, so you don't have like a little light, which most people don't even pay attention to.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you can set up everything on your gauge. You just need to do it.
And another cool function that I didn't go through because I changed my valves, but let's say you have a custom exhaust, like with valves, it's becoming more and more popular. I don't know in Europe there, but here they buy these mufflers which comes with like a little remote or a little switch, so that you can open and close your mufflers to make more noise or less noise. You can basically you can customize a custom trigger, like a custom button, sort of say, and then
you can have them control like RPM and speed. You can have a button, and you can attach them to the gauge. But what we do on the BMW side, and I don't think German people are watching this. So on the BMW side, on the F series, we can control the exhaust valves directly from the gauge via canvas.
Nice. Yeah.
So nothing else needed. It's pre-configured. It's just not shown because of the German police, German TÜV. It's hidden. You can completely remove them. Then then you cannot do it. But there are secret buttons where you can open and close your exhaust valves on the BMW F series.
You can't do this on the B9s, let's say like S4s or S5s or
no. And we try to. So if you try with VCDS, you can only do it when the car is speed is 0, and sometimes if the hood is open. So you cannot do that stuff. I tried on my B9. I tried on other cars. It's not possible. You need to tap into the exhaust tab to control them.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah,
which is, it's an additional step, but it's not very complicated in itself.
Exactly.
Tapping and exhaust.
But the gauge gives you the tools. You just need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much stuff which we didn't. So for example, the water-methanol stuff. It's not documented. Okay, it's not documented that you can hook up your water-methanol to the gauge, but you can do it. We just didn't do it because when you see these tables and there's no explanation around, it can get really hard. And that's the point I mentioned before. We want to cover the people that just put the gauge in. They have their fancy boost gauge there with some logging and stuff, and we want to also cover the deep dive people. So and this is really deep dive. Okay. So it's really hard for such a product because this really is like an ECU, like a separate controller.
Could you go back on the pages and maybe just show them
Mhm.
like one of the pages, like
Yeah, of course.
how to
So
basic
so
customization, basic
this is a
customization.
basic, and we added a little animation mode here. So how it could look like on the gauge. Um, so and this animation, if you hook up your display to the DSS and you drag around your widgets, then they also get dragged on the display, so you see it live what your changes are.
Oh, and I would just
Okay.
like to mention, contrary to other gauges I've tried in the past or other solutions that are similar to this, whenever you hook up the gauge the first time, you have to load your ECU definition file in the sense that it is like the boost is not the
Oh yeah.
boost at the sensor post throttle body, the one that doesn't matter. It's the one that it's the map measures, the map sensors, like on the 3.0T, for example, that has been transformed through the intercooler. So the sensors are actually taking at the right place. It's not a calculation or a guesstimation. It's the factual, accurate sensor data point which
Yes.
we care about, right?
So we always work with the stuff the ECU gives us.
Yep.
So there are cases, for example, on the pretty common Mark 7 GTI. You query the oil temperature from the ECU, then you have a look at your cluster, and the temperature there is different.
Mhm.
Don't ask me why Volkswagen is doing such stuff. Same on the Audis. The oil temperature is different. So the oil temperature on the ECU is calculated, and the oil temperature on the cluster is the actual oil temperature.
Oh, just the coolant on the any Audi in the world
No,
on the gauge
that's
versus the actual is very different. So
that's the
yeah,
oil temperature. The,
yeah.
the coolant story is something is different, but also crazy. So this is the oil temperature. So what we do now is on the Mark 7, we just query the cluster for the correct data. Okay. And for the coolant, even on the Mark 8, on the Mark 8 GTI, we have you see the coolant. You have gauges for your gearbox temperature, oil temperature, and you have coolant temperature. And
Mhm.
coolant temperature always shows 90 degrees. I don't know what they are doing. So, and when you hook up your diagnose software or our display, coolant temperature shows 105 degrees.
Yeah, or 160, and then the fans start kicking. Yeah, I saw it the summer there. The fans
Yeah.
start kicking in, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So engines nowadays run with more than 100 degrees Celsius because the system is under pressure. That's why
Mhm.
the water doesn't boil. So, and I think it's not to make the customers nervous. So when customer sees 105-degree water temperature, they call that dealer.
Yeah,
That's
for sure,
why
because they're
they
so
show.
used to seeing 90, so I think they have a
Yeah,
large margin of error for that little needle that goes
exactly.
on.
But we have this on the bullies on the T6, and when your water temperature in your cluster goes beyond that point, you almost in almost all the cases you get an engine failure.
Yeah,
Then it's too late.
it's
So
too late. Yeah.
people towing their trailers through the Alps over here to get to Italy to enjoy their vacation, and then they don't have a proper monitoring, even not in the original cluster.
Mhm.
So it's also a little bit education from our side that the customers they know what they get, because sometimes they don't even know that they need it. But these are the cases where you really get fooled by the vendor.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So back to the screen. Let me just go through the widgets. So we have the widget tree over here.
Mhm.
So the widget on top is the widget on. So we have layers on the screen. The widget on top is the lowest layer. So for example, we get that's where the picture here is in the. That's the picture here. The pictures are wrong. We have the overlay here. This is the large overlay here. Okay, so this is on the back. So if I drag this here to the top, you see it gets more to the front. So you can have widgets laying above each other.
Yep.
So we just hide this out. This is the overlay widget, and this is what you were talking about. This is your warning. You can not only put your RPM over here, you can also put your ignition retard on it. it's not available in this file. It's a aftermarket ECU. So if your EGT is above 900 degrees Celsius, then we have a warning.
Yeah, it's gonna flash, and it in real life, folks, it really flashes. Like you can't miss it daytime, nighttime there.
Exactly. So what I can show on the screen. We can actually show it. It's now. I don't know if it's running. If it's really working in demo mode, we need to wait until it goes up. Nope, it doesn't.
No, but technically, yeah, it would flash, and that's a very. I know it's a demo mode, but that would be a very slow car. I think those RPMs go. And
Yeah,
I'd like to mention, the software that if we go back to the other page, this software, when you have a cable that when you plug it to the gauge, you update it live. So after that, whenever you make some changes, it goes directly on the gauge.
Yeah. So we have this. For example, we have this bar, and what we added in the last feature, so you can change the sizes of the widgets, like these ones as well. You can change the colors. If you get a green car and you want the widgets to be green, if you want the widgets to match your socks, whatever you want to do, you can do it.
And you can even change, like, let's say you wanted to, I know you call them widgets, but let's say like you wanted to change the animation instead of a bar going like this, having a bar go up and down. I know you can do that as well.
Yes, exactly. So what you also can do, you have the button over here. Oh, we are in the enhanced mode now. You can see up here. In the non-enhanced mode, you cannot mess it up. Okay, you can just change the sensor. The sensor. I need to remove that. You can just change the sensor, but no colors, no positions, nothing can be dragged around. You cannot mess it up. Okay, so activate the enhanced mode, and then you can drag your widgets, and you have all the settings for your sensors. And here we got the warnings, what we've seen before. So you can select the high warning value and the low warning value whenever the sensor, like your boost target or your boost, goes above a certain point or below a certain point, then the widget changes its color. And you set the points over here. So we have the boost sensor. We go to the TRI editor. We look for the boost sensor. And here you get the minimum and the maximum. So what it does, if it goes beyond 2.5 bar, then the widget turns red. If you do not want to do it with that one, you can also add the overlay. So we add a new widget. Sensor value. So we have all these different kinds. You don't see them. Okay. We have the overlay. You see, like this. And if the boost sensor is above your 30 psi or your 2.5 bar, then it flashes red.
Red, yeah.
Okay, so that's how you do your warnings. So you can add your widgets. So pretty much flexible. Okay, and as you mentioned before, we cannot only have a horizontal bar, we can also have a vertical bar like this.
Yep.
Okay, and here we have the same color options. If you don't want to use that one, we have predefined pages over here, which you can modify, of course, also use. This is the one I talked before. This is the Audi, the typical Audi screen, which you can then leave as it is, or which you can modify then. At least you can change the sensors here. So always depending on the sensors on your TRX file. So which the sensors we offer for your engine, for your car, you can choose from. And as we both talked about that, so we try we can have up to 128 sensors in your TOI file, in your canvas file.
Yep.
So we have a set of sensors which is standard for your car. And if there's something missing, hit us up. Most of the times we can add them.
And the 3.0T guys are lucky because I gave you a bunch to add to the,
Exactly.
the engine configuration file. So if ever you purchase, you have them loaded up.
Exactly.
And if they don't want to, because that's the thing, like, of course, when I started playing with it, I used your predefined pages and then I modified, but I also made a completely new sort of like page from scratch. Because if we go back to the, if we go back to the gauge here, like when you swipe from left to right, you can go through like up to like, what was it, Hendrik?
10 pages.
10 pages. There you go. So.
Yeah. So yeah, you can have up to 10 pages. If you don't need 10 pages, you can hide them.
Yeah.
So you just can have 5 pages and you just cycle around once you swipe through them. This also works. And on the small display, we also have got, I think we get 8 pages with different styles. Yeah, this is also, and you can change also the sensors. You can change the colors. You can change the background, the splash screen.
But that's the thing, the small one to customize, like the big one, which you plug in. This one, you don't plug it in. You have, well, you can, but you can customize everything with your through a Wi-Fi source, whether it's a tablet, a computer, or a phone, which is interesting because I can set my triggers or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You can also do that. We have this, and for these we have this knob, which is optional. Okay. So you can have your gauge remote mounted somewhere, and then you can use the knob to swipe through the pages.
Okay. Well, it's pretty nice. I'm gonna go back to the main.
Yeah, so you can do the clear view, and then you start from scratch. You can choose your round meter, whatever color you want it to be. If you want to show the font size, you show the sensor name. And if you want to add a sensor value to it, you remove the name, you remove the maximum number, you make it centered, and here you go.
You know what I did? I really built like a page like this from scratch, which I liked. The values that I wanted to see live, I have them all the time. But I also added in the background the pixels, which are all the sensors I wanted to log, so that whenever I'm on that screen, I never need to leave that screen, because basically I just start logging, it records in the background. And let's say you're doing like a third gear pull and a log, you also have your peak values and your minimum values on the thing. So technically sometimes I don't even go back, because I see that, like, let's say, I hit my peak boost, was my peak fuel, what was the peak knock, especially there when you're
so sometimes people say, okay, your gauge is way too small. So what we do, get the DSS, get your 2 or 4 big numbers on the screen, and if you want to log more, you add a widget. And then we got it's called pixel widget. Okay, and the pixel widget is just a really small widget where you just attach a sensor like water temperature or like your EGT sensor, and you cannot see it on the screen on the display
it's like an
itself.
invisible. That's what I like. It's like invisible, so I see what I want to see, but I also have my pixels, which represent another sensor in the background. And when I log not only what I see on the screen, I log all the pixels, all the other sensors in the background that I want to. Yeah.
So if we would add all 128 sensors, it would get really slow. So that's the background. So
yeah,
we need to ask the ECU, please send me the value. The ECU answers back. This takes time. And if we do that, then you just concentrate on the stuff you really need for your pull, for your drive on the track, add the pixel widgets which you really want to log, which you don't need necessarily to see, but which you want to log. And then you have everything in your log. Because what you do not add to your screen, you cannot see in the log.
Yeah, exactly. So that answers pretty much like got a question: how many values can you add on a custom page?
You can see on top here. You can have
64.
64 widgets.
And basically, I think I tried. You can add also 64 pixels, which again, the pixels are the hidden. They're not displayed, but they're, let's say you log it, they're being recorded. But you are logging on an SD card, so it was kind of laggy a bit, for lack of better words there. And I didn't need the 64 sensors. I was just testing.
It's because 64, then you can see one sensor, because to query one sensor takes about 4 to 5 milliseconds.
Yeah.
So if you add 64 sensors and you have 5 milliseconds times 64, it's 300 milliseconds. It's almost half a second, so you get 3 hertz of data.
Yeah.
For all the sensors. And so it's not our fault. It's the way it works. So that's why, for example, on the what I said before, on the Mark 5 and Mark 6, or on the BMWs, where we tap right into the canvas and we access the sensors which we do not need to query, this makes the whole story faster. But to tap into the canvas is like a more advanced topic, where the customer just not puts the OBD plug into the OBD port. It's more work. So again, we need to find a middle path. So that's why we offer the OBD port, and for like 90% of the customers, this is okay.
So basically, like to just recap a little bit, like I'm gonna go here. If you buy one of the 2 gauges, all you have to do is load up and it's free there. You load up your ECU file. You have a B8, you load up whatever ECU definition file of a B8, you have a B9, you have an RS3, same principle. It comes with predefined pages already out of the box. You can use it like most people do.
So this is the screen. So not that one, but this is the screen how you get your gauge. Okay, you start up the gauge the very first time, then you see on the left-hand side, you see all the TRX files. And you select the TRX file. The TRX file has, on the Volkswagen August, the TRX file has the engine code in the file name.
It's written on your door panel, guys. When you open
Either
your driver door, the engine code is there.
Yeah. So we have on these for these guys, for the later ones, B8s, B9s, we have the UDS software, and the UDS software, you do not have scan PIDs, you have scan engine code or scan motor code. You tap on the button, you see your engine code, and then you just select the engine code from the list, and then almost you're ready to go. You just plug it into the OBD port.
Much, yeah.
That's it. What the guys in Canada and from the US might want to check is
Imperial.
That one.
Yeah.
So first we started to have the -I like Imperial TRX file. We started to have a -G like German. We started -M like metric. What we switched over, we tagged the sensors. So we tell the sensor, you are temperature, you are pressure, you are lambda AFR, you are speed, and then the customer can change the settings, the units to his needs. So either it's pressure, can switch to bar, PSI, Celsius is Fahrenheit, speed is miles per hour, or you can have AFR.
Yeah. So it's even cooler. It's not imperial or metric. You can basically change to whatever you want. Like, yeah.
Exactly. So that's what we learned, that because we listen to our customers. If we get feedback from the customers and they say, why can't I switch the units? So why am I missing this and that feature? And if we really see the need for that, and there are more customers approaching us, then we adopt. It's a living product. We really want you to be happy with the gauge. We want you to have a useful product for your needs. So that's why we always we still develop the screens. That's why we offer firmware updates every 1 to 2 months. Always depends. We have some bug fixes because we're all humans. Sometimes we have situations where the customer runs into which we didn't thought of, or which we didn't test. So so that's why we provide firmware updates to the DSS, to the
just in terms of firmware, just to make it even more clear, so we're all on the same page. It's kind of like an iPhone, guys, or whatever phone you use. You get updates. Like yesterday, I had like an iOS update. So that's what he means by firmware. They will constantly provide like firmware updates just by themselves. Or let's say you have a specific request or anything, or positive feedback that could actually
Exactly.
benefit others. It is upgradable. So the gauge is like infinite in terms of customization. It's like infinite there, where whenever you find something that is in the realm of possibilities, it can be upgraded. So that's what's
Yeah.
cool about it compared to other options there, which are, it's predefined, and you have what you get there, which is fine. But there's nothing out there that allows this level of customization and precision. And you saw with when Hendry went in more details with the water meth thing. There's no controller out of the box on the market that allows you to like set this amount of rules, and have a fine tuning to this level. So it is an interesting product, and not to scare the folks that think this is above their heads. Once again, you buy the gauge, you install it. It's pretty simple. Then after that, you load up your engine's ECU definition file, and you can just use it like that. And I know that on the big gauge, it is there is a USB cable, so you bring your laptop, you plug it in, and then you can start live customization, or do it later there. Because I had the DSS. Like, I would connect it to the car, I would disconnect it, I would leave the program open, I could customize all I want, and then after that I would go back to the car, plug it back in, and then it would update instantly, like
Yeah.
on the gauge itself there.
It's also possible. So you can have your own logos to the display. You
Yep.
can have your own splash screen, everything. So we really want you to make it your gauge, and we have like a little community. People start doing their own templates, their own stuff for the gauges. So you can spend hours on these.
Oh yeah. My page the first time, well, you gotta learn, but it's okay. Like, it actually went by, but I did spend considerable time on on the first page. But folks, like I said, like, I didn't know Hendry. I was just, well, I guess I still am there. I was just a customer, and I kept giving them feedback about the product, and stuff that I thought could be constructive and in terms. And right away, like, it wasn't, oh, I'll be back to you in 3 weeks right away. Like, they understood, and they're like, oh, we'll update it so that not only me, but everyone else who has basically a 3.0 T could benefit from those improvements, if they feel the need to go deeper on their gauge. And since he asked a lot of questions, well then, Hendry, I'm sold. So I guess you've got a customer. That was actually the next question I was going to ask you. In terms of your sale points, like, obviously you've got a website, but what will be, in your opinion, the best way for people to purchase these things?
Okay, so on our website, we have a dealer section on the very top, or CANchecked.de/dealer, and there we have got a map. So look for a dealer near you, and then you can get the display. So in the US, it's a complicated. It's different. So in the US we have two companies rebranding our products. So one is Wagner Tuning in Texas. They have Wagner Tuning displays. So basically, it's a CANchecked display, just got a different skin on it. And we have got a VAD Pro, that's HPA Motorsport in Canada. They also rebrand the product, so it's VAD Pro, versatile automotive displays. But basically, it's also a CANchecked product. Both are really, really great people, really great companies. We like to work together with them. We develop the products together with them. I went to Canada. I went to Texas. We meet with the people. We get the feedback. So last year we really started to approach the American market, and we need to gain some traction over there. But with guys like JM, with guys like Dimitri, who did some videos on the B9 platform, we start to get there, and we really want to add value to the gauge market. So especially on the small factor format, like the small display, the MFD15, this little guy, we really offer more value than just an OBD gauge.
Fancy booze gauge, yeah. What's the if you know it, maybe you don't know it inside out in USD, what's the MSRP for both in US dollars?
So the small one is 279 US dollars plus taxes, and The big one, most of the car applications is like $499, which
So
comes with the
folks,
cable
yeah.
and the vent integration.
So folks, if you do a bit of research on other options possible, I mean, the price point is like bang on there with whichever case there. And obviously the one is more expensive. The bigger one is a bit more expensive because, well, just the gauge itself is bigger. You got touchscreen ability and stuff like that. But even the small ones, I mean, like it's I do less racing and stuff and with my B8.5, but even having the small ones and just being able to customize it with my phone there and having like stuff, it wasn't because it's cheaper, it's actually quite good and accurate there, whatever I want. The only difference is that I just have to press the buttons between to go between pages there.
Yeah. So it also depends on the application. So in some applications, the bigger gauges do not fit at all. Then we take the smaller ones. For example, the Audi A3 8P, the 8V. There the bigger displays do not fit. So we take the round display, which fit into the vent. We got the adapters ready. So the small gauge with an adapter and the OBD plug and play cable, we have them for these as well, is $329. Plus, you get the ethanol input. Plus, you get the 6 analog inputs, which are free of charge.
I'm on your website right now. I'm like on Universal
Exactly.
Displays, but as you can see,
that's the product section.
Let's go to Audi. Like, you guys have a lot actually there.
We have more than 150 different integrations.
You said you stopped at the you said earlier you stopped at B7, but I even see a B3, B4 here.
No, we don't stop there.
Yeah.
It's because the CAN bus was not there, but there are a lot of standalone conversions.
Yep.
For these guys, so that's why we also.
Actually, I think
when we get a small.
Your customers here, Sean Bradford.
I know that
displays are amazing on standalone ECU.
I do. Yeah, I know this. So sometimes I also do support. We have really close relationship to our customers if there is needed, because we cannot have a close relationship to all of our customers.
For
sure. But we have a small little community. We got a Facebook page where the customers get support, where they can also exchange ideas with each other. And yeah, so you will see also the physical size. Go to the top. This physical size of the M5015. Can you go back to products? Yeah, to the M5015 on the left-hand side. Yeah. So you can see the physical size. It's really, really compact design. So we squeezed in some plugs on the backside. It's the same kind of plugs which we have on the bigger units, just different pin count. And we really squeezed a lot of features into these products. And this is our Gen 2. Gen 1 doesn't have the front buttons. That's how you see the difference. And it's really our experience from the last 5 years putting gauges together, which put everything into these smaller gauges. And the next step is this Wi-Fi is it's a game changer.
No, for sure. That's what I loved. I love the bigger one. That this one was cool, just to be able to configure everything and the live log too there. So that was kind of nice. I just want to go back to the MFD28 because that's the one when I announced that we were doing these streams, and I think people have seen on my car for the last since last spring or so. They had questions. This one also, there's another question in chat here. Do they go on? Yes, they do. It's C7, but it's also like right here, like B8, B8.5, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and then B9 also, it's a sort of like OEM implementation in the vents. And there's another question in chat earlier. I'm just going back to them now. Guys, CANchecked supplies the vents. You don't need to cut your vents and glue them. This is not a. It's
exactly. So if you can see in the middle picture where you can see the P, you can see where the fins end.
Oops.
Over there, where the fins end, this is our part. So we get the middle display and the outer fins a little bit, and this really you take out your original fins and put in the display. It looks like OEM, And
Yeah, I didn't need I didn't need to cut anything. It was bolt on there, you know.
and I just want to highlight that we manufacture all the stuff in Germany. So we have our people. So everything is 3D printed. We don't hide it. So it is 3D printed, but the front you can see in your car is sanded, it's fillered, sanded again, and then painted.
No, but exactly. I remember you telling me, but it still looks nice. There's no one that, you know, non-car people. There's no one that came in the car and went like, "Oh, this was your weekend project," you know, with a bunch of screws and like Home Depot style. So, no, it was quite nice, and I had mine in the car now for close to a year since last spring. Whether it was plus 40, whether it was minus 40, because I guess those are the questions that you get also. I never had any single issues, like it's fluid, whether it's hot, it's cold. There was no bug, there's nothing. It always starts up with the car every time you put your ignition on. So it's quite feature packed. And as you can see, don't get intimidated by the the amount of customizations that you can do. Uh,
Exactly.
you don't have to. There is predefined pages on there. So, and
Yeah. And
obviously,
if you don't want to do it now, you can do it at any time. If you add the gauge to your car, and the gauge grows with your project. If you want to add ethanol, add the ethanol. If you want to add an oil pressure sensor, add the oil pressure sensor.
yeah, for sure.
You don't need to do it at the very first time, but sometimes you need to disassemble again, of course, because you need to attach the stuff on the backside of the gauge. But everything is doable. We got a big manual put together in German and English, and I encourage everybody, go read the manual. It gives you an insight of what is possible with the gauge.
Okay. And other than that, I'm just going back to questions from chat here. Details, water meth. What's the difference? I don't know. I guess it's subjective at this point, but in your opinion, I'm going through the Instagram chat, not the YouTube chat. In your opinion, which is better, the big one or the small one? I'll let you answer this one because
in my point of view, they both have their advantages. So I like, on the smaller one, I like the Wi-Fi. That's really game changer. And the big one, I like the customization.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was gonna say there. If you're asking me on a personal level, what the difference I find, I still prefer the big one. I think it's you can't beat it. And by the way, there's another question for Instagram chats here. Are the firmware? Sorry, he writes it in French there. The firmware updates are free, right?
Yes, they are. You can
and they will remain free.
Yes, they will remain free. We have a help section on our website, and in the help section you find all the documentation, all the firmware. You can find our DSS and everything.
Oh, and that's what
and
it was.
it will remain free.
I know the answer, but whatever he showed here, there the DSS, which is it's the nomenclature for their program there to customize the gauge. That's free too. You don't need to buy it.
It is. Yeah, it is free. And we have it for Windows and for Mac.
See, I didn't know that. When we were just in the virtual studio, I saw that he was on a new M3. I'm like, wait, hold on, you're on Mac now? So that's something nice too. Do you have any goals for 2024? You talked a bit about obviously trying to get a bigger outreach in North America. But...
we have so many amazing projects. I cannot talk about them. I'm so excited already. So Stefan visited my place. So a little bit. The production is 200 kilometers. That's 450 miles away from me. So I'm doing development. And Stefan was here from the production. And we had a little meeting today, and we have so many amazing projects. So watch out our channel. It's going to be amazing. We have a real big game changer.
Your YouTube channel, right?
No, Instagram, Facebook would be the best one. YouTube is more like documentation a little bit. Yep. We did a support call back in the days, which you can also watch, where we would really deep dive into the configuration of the gauge on our YouTube channel. So you can also watch that video. It's also a little bit longer, like 1.5 hours, with me talking the whole time with myself. But we have some fancy stuff coming up, and I cannot share yet.
It's okay. It's okay. We all love teasers, but we understand also that you wanted to protect your stuff. But so that's the thing. Like you're not. This is not the end. There's new products that are
No,
in
no,
the
no.
works for
We have so many
CANchecked
stuff.
and
We will not stop. So we do this with the from the bottom of our heart. It's we burn for our products. I love what I do. That's why it doesn't hurt me to put 12 hours per day into the displays, into the gauges. This is my baby, and we have got a big team in the background, and we will not stop.
That's what I love about these podcasts. Whenever we have guests, it's these companies that customers buy parts for, but they don't realize, or maybe they don't think about the fact that most of these companies, like yours, Henry, you're an enthusiast like we all are, and it was a sideline at first, and then you kept pushing it, and then it became this company. And obviously, like you guys saw, he not only does he know his product, but he's continuously looking to improve, or just to like he said, like when we were talking about imperial metrics, he went even further compared to other options. You can customize imperial metric, but for certain values in itself, which I you can't find that on other things there. So you know
Yeah, because the people in UK got different measurements than you guys
yeah,
in US. The guys in Canada got even other measurements. So I think we get everything covered right now. There's some other stuff we can do, the MUF sensor and horsepower. We can also add to at different measurements. So that's also on our roadmap. But yeah, nothing
the
which got
horsepower. But
our
how are you gonna take it, like with the
and
wheel?
like you can have horsepower, you can have kilowatts, whatever. So sometimes we have these kind of sensors. Um,
Nice.
it was just an example. I don't know. Ferdinand approached me with that. I don't know exactly anymore.
Okay.
Need to put it
But
out.
but technically, yeah, there's other stuff in the works, so we get it. All right. Well,
Exactly.
Henry,
So,
I just wanted to thank you a lot. We're approximately an hour in, so I just wanted to respect your time as well. For people who have not still caught on to the fact that CANchecked is in Germany, so they're 6 hours ahead of us.
yeah, exactly. It's
He's still at
quarter
the
quarter
office,
past nine
so
now. Yeah.
I'll let him go back to his evening, and perhaps the possibility of going back home. So thanks a lot, Lux. And this is a product that, on a personal level, I still enjoy quite a lot, and we still talk. Not as much as we used to before when we were setting everything up, but it's I think it's a great thing, and I'm happy to be able just
Yeah.
to share to everyone, like more in detail what it is. And if you have any questions, where do you think it's best for people to reach you?
So we have our Facebook community, the support and questions.
Okay.
But we have also on our website we have a form where you can enter your details, and then support will hook you up. Yeah, but most of the times, if you don't mind to share it with the public, go into our Facebook group. The people can then search in the group if you get specific questions. I will also answer questions. So. Because it's my job.
Yeah.
And but we have also a small community where customers also tend to ask the questions, which takes up some load from my side, so I can make even greater products. So that's why we did the Facebook group. So yeah, that's I think the first way to start. You can also search the group if the topic occurred. Go to our website, CANchecked.de, go to the products page, see if there's also an integration. Have a look at if there's also already an integration for your car over there. And if there's not, get back to us. If there's a need, and maybe you have a little community with like 10, 20 people, then we do the integrations as well. So we are open for suggestions.
Well, that you have one right here. Need Sean again there. Need to make
We
one for the
are
Astra H. So there you go.
Sean knows it that we are on it, because I think we have got another sister company, 3D Intag, who did the Astra H integration already, or we are on this topic. I don't know. So I need to ask Ferdinand, because he's also doing some stuff in the with 3D integrations for our products. I need to ask him, but we know the topic. I know Sean, so it's on our roadmap.
Oh,
if
you know,
it's
once
not already
enthusiast they
fixed.
want something, yeah, I don't know him, but I know that he'll keep pushing you until you do it. So
That's all right.
yeah.
Keep pushing us, keep bugging us. That's all right. Because sometimes we get a lot of requests via social media.
Yeah.
We try to answer, or we answer every single request. We've got a standard answer that if you got other problems, then approach us via email. Email is a bit more sorted. So bug us if you do not get an answer within 1 week. Normally we answer on the next business day. That's our approach.
Nice. All right. Well,
Latest.
folks, thanks for tuning in. Henry, danke schön once again. And
You're
auf
very
Wiedersehen,
welcome,
everyone.
Jam. I enjoyed.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.